Guys, let's talk about Destiny 2, and we're going to be talking about specifically a couple of former people that worked at Destiny, one of which was the Bungie legal chief, who apparently, in a recent interview, and this is pretty interesting stuff, apparently he has basically said that the studio is now becoming what he personally feared after the Sony acquisition. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video. He says, I wish I could have done more to keep it alive. Now, it's so interesting to me that he says that because, ironically, a lot of people that either still work at Bungie or don't no longer work at Bungie are all essentially saying the same thing, which was when they all saw themselves get acquired by Sony, that was somehow going to be the death note for Bungie. Now, I feel like that takes away responsibility from Bungie and some of the things that they've done to land them in the position that they're in right now when it comes to Destiny versus Marathon and the Civil War going on and all that nonsense. But I feel like this does take away that kind of blame from them, and I don't really necessarily believe that. But I kind of wanted to go over what he said so we could get an idea of what exactly is going on. So as Destiny 2 gears up for its end-of-life service updates and as employees reportedly brace for layoffs, one former Bungie worker involved in its acquisition fears that the story developer is becoming a mere publishing imprint under Sony's own ownership. Sony Interactive bought the iconic developer behind Destiny, Halo, and Marathon in 2022, but things haven't been smooth sailing since then. The developer laid off around 200 staff members in 23, and Sony just reported an almost $800 million impairment loss on the studio, which we've gone over that already, so that's what it is. Things took a slightly bleaker turn this week when Bungie announced that the active development on Destiny 2 would be over once a final update drops on June 9th, though the MMO FPS will remain playable after that. Now, Bungie's former general counsel, Don McGowan, who helped run the company $3.6 billion buyout, says everything he was worried about with the sale is coming true. I am not happy to see what has become one of the most famous studios in gaming, and I wish I could have done more to keep it alive. He writes in a recent LinkedIn post, it's now becoming what I feared after the Sony acquisition, a publishing imprint that may also make a game every now and then, but not a builder of worlds. So, okay, I get that. Right? Because here's the thing. When Activision acquired Blizzard, and I always told this story, and I'll never not... I will always keep telling this story. When Activision was rumored to be acquiring Blizzard, right? I remember when that was going down. I remember when people were reporting on that. I remember hearing about that and talking about that with some friends while playing World of Warcraft. And I remember, even back in the day, specifically saying that when Activision takes over Blizzard, the game is cooked. Like, Blizzard as a company will be no more, and it is absolutely fucking cooked, right? Like, I remember saying that, and my friends at the time, they were like, no, World of Warcraft's too big, like, it's not, like, there's no way. And I'm like, dude, when Activision fucking takes over Blizzard, we are cooked, boys. Like, we are beyond cooked, right? And again, some people didn't want to listen to that. And now, well, we all know what happened, right? We all know what happened with Activision Blizzard. Then I can then take that experience and then understand where he might be coming from, essentially saying, like, looking at the Sony acquisition, how that could potentially be real bad news for Bungie as a whole. But also keep in mind, too, Bungie developers, they rotate a lot. The people that were at Bungie that made the original Destiny, a lot of them aren't even there anymore, right? So, like, the people that made the game that a lot of people are talking about how they loved and all that, they're not even there anymore, right? So, did you use the word cooked? I did. I actually did. I said we are absolutely cooked. I did. That's not just a recent word. Cooked has been used for years. What I'm talking about. Anyway, so now that we have an understanding of that, I get what he's saying, but I also have to disagree in a little bit because Bungie was acquired by Sony in 2022, and they were okay up until the last, let's say, couple of years where they started ignoring Destiny, and people were trying to figure out why were they ignoring Destiny? Why are they doing all these weird changes to Destiny? Like, what's happening? The reason why ended up being Marathon. Now, whether or not Marathon was Bungie's choice or Sony's choice, I don't know, right? Everybody knows that Sony absolutely loves live service video games, right? Sony fucking adores live service video games. You can literally go to them with the worst idea for a video game possible, but if you tell them it's live service, you will get funding. Herman Holtz loves his live service video games. You will get funding most of the time, right? Not so much for other video games like single-player video games, which is why Sony is closing down so many single-player studios, but that's besides the point. So I'm not surprised that Marathon got so easily funded for hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever the hell it is. And unfortunately, you can kind of see, now that we know Marathon exists, you can kind of see where things started to fall apart. So that's why I keep saying that even though I understand when a certain major company that has a bad rap takes over a smaller studio that has a better rap or a good rap at the time, how that is potentially going to be problematic. And Sony taking over Bungie absolutely was going to be problematic. But Bungie in and of itself became problematic outside of Sony's influence as well. So honestly, I feel like it's kind of both. It's kind of both. I feel like both of these companies kind of are getting what they deserve. Just because of how they treated Destiny 2 and how they decided to go about with Marathon. All the advertising they did with Marathon, choosing to completely ignore their other fan base, hoping their other fan base was going to come over to Marathon, like all this nonsense. But Herman Holtz, absolutely, yes, he is. He needs to fucking go, but he's not going to go. I highly doubt it. So anyway, he says, life goes on, but we can spare ourselves a moment to wish sometimes that it didn't. I was never a huge fan of Destiny 2. I'm not a great fan of FPS gaming, and I found the lore needlessly complex and never properly explained for new players. But not everything is for everyone. For a lot of people, Destiny 2 is their life. Bro, he's not lying about that, by the way, because I have seen, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to bother showing it because it's kind of cringe, but I have seen a crazy amount of people on social media literally fucking crying, bro. They're crying, bro. They're crying over the death of Destiny. They're filming themselves crying. Or on stream, they're breaking down crying. Now, obviously, it might be fake. Because let's be real, most things on the internet, especially on Twitter, is fake. Like 95% of it's fake. But still, it's like, brother, you guys are crying over this shit? Now, to be fair, these are people that have like 3,000 hours, 2,000 hours, whatever, in Destiny or Destiny 2 or whatever. But still, it's like, dude, you guys are seriously crying for this shit? That's insane, brother. We need to relax. Anyway. Yeah, no, they're crying like TikTok women. Exactly. Exactly. Those are the people that have like 10,000 of hours. Yeah, I know they have thousands of hours still. But my point is, like, when you play an online video game like that, you need to understand that at one point it's going to come to an end. I don't care how good the game is. I don't care how long the servers have been up. One day, World of Warcraft is going to end. Just like one day, EverQuest is going to end. Even though that game is still going, which is crazy. But still, one day, these games will end. And people just have to understand that. But in any case, he says, man, I got over 3K hours in D2, and I ain't, man, fuck that game. Demon Carol, not everybody's like that, bro. People are literally crying. So it helped a lot of people get through COVID lockdowns. And of course, it changed the games industry in hundreds of ways that echo today and on to the future. On a more light note, I really hope this doesn't mean a few thousand people lose their jobs. Here. I think that's obviously coming. I think that's coming. I think at this point, it's pretty clear. I don't know if thousands, but it's definitely hundreds. I think that we are going to see a next round of a few hundred layoffs from Bungie. There's no doubt about it at this point, especially if they're stopping all development on Destiny 2. I think it's pretty obvious. So, now, again, I've said before, and I said on SNH, Destiny, the first Destiny, was a game changer. It was a game changer. Destiny was a game changer in the same way World of Warcraft was a game changer. Where Destiny, the way that the game presented itself to normies, it brought in so many people to that kind of game that was never playing a game like that before, which, again, we spoke about that last Saturday. So many kinds of people played Destiny that otherwise would have never touched Destiny, which made it as big as it was. But then it kind of died off in Destiny 2. But regardless, still, it was a massive, massive video game. It was a massive cultural movement. It was a huge representation of PlayStation at the time. Like, Destiny really was a fantastic game. A lot of people enjoyed the raids, obviously. The content was fun. I played the Crucible. I liked the Crucible a lot. Like I told you guys on Saturday, Hunter main with the hand cannon, golden gun, all that stuff. Like that's how I played. But still, like, as legendary as it was, unfortunately, Destiny 2 and Bungie just kind of killed it. It kind of killed it. And there's one thing that I want to say that is true. Right now, I think that petition that's out there right now for people that are trying to get Destiny 3 made, I think it has like 120,000 signatures. Somebody quote tweeted that, and they said if all 120,000 of you were playing Destiny 2 right now, Bungie would have never canceled the game. And while that is true, I'm still blaming Bungie at the end of the day, because they're the reason why people checked out. And I think people tend to forget that. They are the reason why people checked out, and they're the reason why the concurrent player count is as low as it was. So regardless, like, yeah, I get the point. I see what people are saying, that if those players were playing, fine. But those players left for a reason. You can't blame them in this situation, right? You can't blame them for leaving the game because they felt like the game wasn't giving them any respect for their time anymore, which was true. And then we found out it was true because, well, you found out that Bungie was focusing on Marathon. So I wouldn't blame players in this regard. I blame players with like Battlefront. Because every year they try to revive Battlefront and they're like, hey, look, we're at 40,000 concurrent. It doesn't matter. You're going to drop to 3,000 in like 2 days. Stop. Just let it die. They're not going to make Battlefront 3. Stop it. But yeah, anyway, so that's what's going on with this whole situation. I found this to be very interesting. On top of the fact that obviously we already know that Destiny 3 is not being made, right? We already know that's not happening. And apparently the reason for why it's not happening is because it was going to cost too much. Now, think about this really quick. They're not making Destiny 3 because it was going to cost too much. But meanwhile, they made Marathon. How much do you think Marathon cost? What do you think? Marathon cost $20 million to make? Of course not. Marathon cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. It got the classic Sony funding. What are we talking about? If Destiny 3 is too much to make, that's just more proof that you chose Marathon over Destiny. Also, coupled with the fact is they probably thought if that Marathon was going to be such success that they were going to be to make money to make Destiny 3. I think that's what they thought. I think they thought that Marathon was going to fund Destiny 3, and that's not what happened whatsoever. Marathon can't even fund itself. So what are we doing here? A lot of people have wondered why Bungie didn't immediately start working on Destiny 3 after the final shape 2 years ago. The answer is, as it usually is how much money it would take. Destiny 3 is not in active production right now, according to Schreier, as the focus remains squarely on supporting the team's new extraction shooter, Marathon. But it's not for a lack of trying. Yeah, I don't know about that. Staff are pitching and prototyping new ideas, including Destiny games. To PlayStation, who acquired the studio in 2022 in a $3.6 billion deal. Yeah. And where's that money? Gone. Marathon isn't faring much better either, with concurrent peak player counts on PC dipping below Destiny 2, where the majority of players are reported to be concentrated. As the game sold just 1.2 million copies, a former Square Enix executive even speculated that the lack of marketing indicated a lack of faith from PlayStation. That's actually a good point. When's the last time you saw Marathon get marketed? Seriously, outside of like a post here and there on Twitter, when's the last time you've seen any real hardcore push from a marketing perspective when it came to Marathon? When's the last? I don't remember. Whatsoever. I haven't seen commercials. None of that. So I don't know, man. I think that I think they rolled the dice and they failed, and now you got to live with it. It is what it is. The money went on. The head guys do classic cars. Yeah, probably. So again, RIP to Bungie. to Marathon, to Destiny 2. Man, you know what? Hold on. Before we stop this segment, let me look up something. Let's go to SteamDB. Hold on. Let's go to Marathon. Brother, it's been at the same number. Literally. It's been at the same number for days, bro. For days. Bro!
Holy shit.
The number keeps going up for Destiny. 18,583, bro. Oh my God. You clearly didn't make the right choice. That's insane. What are we doing? The Destiny boys are out. Yeah, they're pissed. They're pissed. Like, they got a fire lit under their asses. It's crazy. These companies are dumb. They're pretty dumb. They're pretty fucking dumb. Wow, we got a 7,000 concurrent player count difference. That means on average, there are tens of thousands of more players playing Destiny 2 per day than there is playing Marathon. Crazy, man. Well, you made your choice. As basically is. One last hurrah. Yeah. They're trying to save Destiny 2. I respect it. I saw a bunch of people on Twitter trying to convince everybody to like log into Destiny 2 and shit. I might even log into Destiny 2 just to fuck with them. I might log into Destiny 2 and be like, hey guys, I'm here. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but that's pretty funny. Wow. Nice choice, Bungie. Nice choice. All right, here we go. Resuming TTS. Let's see what we got, boys. Let's see what we got.
I can't remember all the specifics, but 10 to 15 years back, there was a GameStop that was perma-shunned by Rockstar during the GTIV launch for breaking the street date.
Oh, I remember that story.
I can't wait for the
Speedy
reset
Cake.
wipe to come in Marathon.
Same, Adair Soto. Same. Thank you for the 2. Speedy Cake, thank you for the 20. I remember that story, Speedy Cake. I can't remember which GameStop it was, too, but I do remember that. It was bad. They were fucking pissed for handing out copies early. And they're going to do it with GTA 6 also, by the way. I guarantee you GTA 6 on the disc is not going to be playable day one. I would imagine they're probably going to do the digital lockdown, most likely.